if you're developing a new product and you're looking for a supplier, well, there's typically 3 options in China, in Vietnam, in Malaysia, and so on: ODM, OEM, CM. The first thing to look at is the sales volume that you expect. If the sales volume is low, then you are in that area here where basically no supplier is interested. If you want to make a new kind of electronic product, a new kind of e-scooter, a new kind of product, and it's really too low, and you say, well, I just want to buy 100 pieces once you have developed it, typically everybody will turn you down. Okay, so that's the no-go zone. Now, if your sales volume are a little bit higher than that, you're out of that no-go zone. You have 3 options. Let me go through them one by one. The ODM, this stands for original design manufacturer. Okay, it means that they already have their own products, their own design, and what you do, obviously you want a new product, you don't want their own product. However, they will help you make adjustment to their existing products. So for example, they have a specific type of, I don't know, thermal camera that I don't know, I'm saying whatever here, random things, but that can be held on the front above your eyes, and that weighs less than 50 grams. Okay, obviously it's probably doesn't exist yet, and that's exactly what you want, but you need it to also send vibrations to alert when something happens. Okay, you're going to take their existing product and you're going to work with them to adjust it. All right, now as you look at this axis here, the x-axis, and you go up in the control you need, you're actually going to move out of ODM. Why is that? Because you will never own the intellectual property of this product, because they just adjusted their own product. Okay, so it means that they still own the intellectual property. They made some adjustments. They can sell it to you as long as they want, and they can stop anytime they want, and usually you will not have the ability to control pricing or anything like that. Okay, you're still basically a distributor. All right, and looking at the risks, there's also a risk that they get the inspiration from you, and then they actually suggest it to their existing customers, and you're about to place a first order for, I don't know, 2,000 pieces, but one of their existing customers want to buy 30,000 pieces, and they don't want anybody else to have it on the market. Well, guess who's going to have it? Not you. Right? Very hard to enforce good contracts here. Okay, I'm gonna bar it. It's very hard because basically it's their own product, their own intellectual property. Another risk also is that they present the product as their intellectual property, but actually it's not always the case, and it can be very hard to double confirm. So you don't want to go on the market and then a big company says, hey, this is my product here, that you really copied ruthlessly. I'm sorry, I have a patent for this or something like that, and then you're really in trouble. Okay, so that's the ODM. A bit risky, but if you're not really afraid of any of these risks, you need low control, you want to move fast, that's often fine. Maybe for version 1 of your product, maybe version 2, version 3, you want to move away from that when you want more control, and so on. Okay, now OEM, original equipment manufacturer, but don't think of this because it's more confusing than anything else. But what does it mean? It means that they are already in the space, okay? So taking the example of the camera, they might already make some cameras, but not the kind of cameras that you need. So so they need to develop the product that you need, right? Sort of from scratch, but they already have a good understanding of technologies and so on. And they will usually subsidize a part of it. Okay, so they will put maybe an engineer for it. They will not charge you for it. They might charge you maybe half the price of the tooling. You know, these are examples. Now, again, if you need higher control, lower risks, this is not very good, and you might want to move out of this and go to a contract manufacturer. Why is that? Because the OEM typically will try to keep the IP. Okay, so if you don't work with them on clarifying the expectations from the start, you might be stuck, and they might actually own the intellectual property, and then at the end of the day you're sort of going back here without knowing it. Okay, and there's other issues with that, is that they try to go directly into production without doing all the engineering work before that to actually ensure that processes will run with low risks. So what very often happens is that they go too fast into production, some kind of problem happens, quality problems, they find that the costs are much higher, it pushes the delivery date later and later and so on, and that's actually very common. Why? Because they just get paid, they get paid for products. Okay, that's the problem. They don't get paid for actually the process engineering, the pre-production work, the risk analysis, all the actions, to really mitigate the risks. They don't get paid for it, so they tend not to do it, and then it comes back to bite you, because again, we're talking new product here. New product always comes with new risks, and it can really blow up and make the entire first batch unsellable. So what's all the good stuff with this contract manufacturer here? Well, they will invoice you, okay, for the work. Usually you would start working with a design house, okay, and you own the IP from the start, and you can have a good contract with them that really spells out good terms, fair terms, really clarifies everything that you expect and everything. They tend to be more professional. All the pre-production engineering is something that they tend to be good at, and they will invoice you for at least a part of it, but really it means they have the incentives to do it properly, and they have all the incentives to make sure that actually in production things go well, because you own the IP. So it's relatively easy to switch for you as the customer. Okay, coming back to the ODM, again, they keep the IP, so no switch, right? No switch, forget it. It's going to be very hard for you to switch away from them. But here you own the IP, you have all the deliverables, you have the bill of material. Okay, it's easier for you to switch, right? And the contract manufacturer, usually, as I said, you will have the BOM. They are much more transparent. Okay, So it means you can actually go and see the sub-suppliers of the critical components. If there are some problems, you can send your own engineers to understand what happens and so on. And that's it on this topic. Basically, if I summarize, you have three options. There's this area here that you really cannot go if sales volumes are too low. Otherwise, you have three options. You can have a company adjust their own design, but then you are more of a distributor. You can have a company do the development from scratch, be a little bit like a partner and subsidize the engineering and the sourcing and so on. They might not charge you for that, but what they don't charge you for, they don't give you the deliverables for it. So in the end, they own the intellectual property, they control you, you don't have some of the pieces of the puzzle, you still depend on them. So if you want more control, you go to the contract manufacturer, where things tend to be much clearer. They don't mind doing, providing services and invoicing you for that. So they have the right incentives to do all the right engineering work to avoid issues in production. They're more transparent. It's easier for you to switch. Obviously, it makes more sense with very high volumes where you can pay for all that, and really makes sense for companies that really want a lot of control and want to keep their risks low. I hope that was clear. Thank you.